was found by Dr. Bitgen at the University of Bremen to produce the Sierpinski triangle as a self-embedded order. So this is the order that ayahuasca instills. This is how we go online. No longer is the universe random. Random is the order of what the ancient called Aum, the Aum order, which is the Aum of Soma, of Sauma Huasca. This is the 8 cycles order principle by which the shaman enables the unification of the microcosm with the macrocosm. Here we see how the pentagrams build the cascades of the musical tuning of our solar system. So as we order our own body tree by 8 cycles per second into the 72-degree triangle or the musical cone, instilled by Aum, by Sauma, by 8 cycles rapture, we travel mirror to mirror in the golden cascade into the heavens, into the solar system geometry and structure, mirror to mirror holographically, as these Sierpinski pentahedrons may give you a psychedelic glimmer of. Perhaps you have already experienced this and may experience it way beyond in a hyper sense in your next ayahuasca session. In the ancient Egyptian times of Thutmose III, we have a description of starships in the sky landing, and these starships bringing beings of light who teach the science of shamanism to Thutmose. In Thutmose's tomb, we found that Thutmose shows sprouting from his head, possibly from his pineal gland, the sint, or the acacia tree that contains DMT. It's interesting that only in the 70s did we know that DMT in the acacia tree also occurs in our heads, in the pineal gland. So this is described as his boat of the afterlife. The boat of the Egyptians was also made from sint tree or the acacia tree in physicality, as well as representing the spiritual tree. We know that DMT is certainly a marvelous dream boat. Later, however, it is mushrooms that sprout from the heads of the initiate, which is a relative to DMT. It is the psilocybin. Here we see how the boat of Thutmose, in fact, has his head on, so it is the boat of his own head, the dream yoga boat that unites life and death. It is the feather of the soul that also represents the acacia tree, the sun and the moon united as the grail. In the Sinai Peninsula, he opened an alchemical mine where the Soma elixir was made, where a special initiation substance was made. It is the center of the Sarabat el-Kadim complex, the possible true Mount Moses. When this was discovered by Sir William Petrie Flinders more than 100 years ago, he found very interesting things. The Bedouins and Sufis in that area still produce the bread of light that Thutmose was instructed to make when the beings of light, the Atum Ras, the golden ones, came from their Atum or starship vehicles, their golden spheres, and instructed him to make the Eucharist or the sacraments that would enable mankind to communicate with the gods. Here we see that, in fact, the bread is made as a circle with a point in, just as in the Indus Valley, which are the Epiphany cakes, the cakes that are combined with the drink in both the Buddhistic Ganachakra rites and the Rig Vedic rituals, as well as the Greek assimilation of the Vedic Soma rites. Around this temple grows only the Soma bush and the Acacia Madana tree, which contains DMT. The combination of both gives you Soma Huasca, Ayahuasca Egyptian, and this is in fact what they make their bread from, together with meteoric crystal. However, in the tomb of or the cave of Hathor at Mount Serabit el-Kadim was found by Sir William Petrie Flinders also 100 tons of a white powder that appears to be this exotic matter, superconducting matter, as Dr. Hal Puthoff has analyzed it, at least residues of which remain in the Great Pyramid. This was made into a bread that was combined with the Soma and with the Acacia. So you have the Orma or superconducting elements. We saw the blood of a woman with Orma and how it was organized earlier on. So this describes how this is the food of the light body of the pharaoh, of those who came there for initiation. This was of central importance. This was the treasury of ancient Egypt. In fact, the baby Horus is said to have been born from the soma plant itself, according to Dioscorides. He was born from a plant that Dioscorides calls Nabo. Nabo is, by Dioscorides, catalogued as Pegunum harmala. It is the green apple becoming gold from which the Lord Horus, Neb-Heru, is born. Nebu being the Neb of Neb-Heru, Lord Horus. Likewise, all the gods are said to have been born from the Acacia medani tree, the DMT tree, in pyramid text Usherance 126. Superconductors are also described as related to the exotic materia. Here we have the soma bush, the Nabo bush, with the apple still green. It is a 5-petaled flower. The apples do become gold. They become the golden apples of Hesperides. They are also known in Turkestan as Hermesius, from which the name Hermes is derived. In Turkestan it was also known as Muli, from which Hermes' sacred plant, Mole, of metamorphosis was derived. So the Hermetic mysteries are based on Somahuasca completely. In fact, Hermes Trismegistus is the embodiment of Somahuasca. Even the name Hermesius precedes Hermes as the name of this plant with a golden apple, which is the brother of ayahuasca here in Europe and in the Far East. 11 years ago we show in the Egyptian Museum the baby Horus holding the Sau plant or Su plant or Suma plant, Sumana plant, and pointing to his mouth, by which a shamanic bird is awakened. The high spin elements found in the cave of Hathor then provide enormous amounts of energy for healing, and the light body vehicle is described as in the Sumerian texts and in the texts of the Vedas. The mushroom part, however, becomes part of the Serapis Bay mysteries of Egypt, where to lose your head is to chop off the head of the mushroom, as is shown here, chopping off the mushroom cap and chopping off the head, the ego death. That enables you to join with the body of Serapis, Serapis Bay, or Osiris of the Apis bull. Here we discovered the Stropharia cubensis mushroom, and Dr. Puharich during the 50s explored mushrooms in relation to the Great Pyramid in his CIA-based remote viewing studies on psychedelics. Here Horus is resurrected by Tehuti or Hermes with a mushroom. So we see this indivisible legacy coming down to the Eleusinian mysteries from the ancient Vedas, from the initial ultra-terrestrial extraterrestrials of the Vedas, as was stated in the Vedas. The superconducting elements are recently discovered in 1988 and are in the archaeological sites of the Sarasvati River Valley culture. We will skip over some slides here because of time considerations. It seems that during the time of Akhenaten, because Akhenaten was married to 2 wives, not only Nefertiti, but to Marikia, who was a Mitannian princess, that he became able to complete the Soma mysteries of the Vedas, because the Mitannians spoke Sanskrit. They practiced the Rig Veda Soma Rasana alchemical protocols. So the Aton vehicle, the use of Nebo, the Soma of the acacia tree, is described in the Tel Amarna archives as part of the bread of initiation, although a lot of the Soma Sana or Soma Bonga marijuana is also focused on in that particular dynasty. The focus on the pineal gland, the third eye, was of importance during Akhenaten's time and his great-grandfather's time, as can be seen by the elongation of the skulls during that time to enhance shamanic voyaging.